Shalom, on the start of souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, great Milson, and honestly, brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the real name of whom the world English calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh, and the son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahushua, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning that, and Sham meaning names Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, the elder posted this in the chat, and it's just basically going into how over there in the land of Israel, them people they're suffering, man. It ain't going too good for them, right? This is BBC reports, instead of no one has hope for the future here. Many professionals are leaving Israel and many residents are going bankrupt, right? When you have a mass exodus of people, right, what happens? The jobs disappear, right? Rather than the clientele, to pay for services that are going to pay for the coffee, that are going to pay for the, at the, the restaurant or whatever, what have you, right? They ain't they when they go, that's what the business goes under, etc., etc., etc. So then it creates a domino effect. Whereas the war is expanding every day, and its continuation increases the despair of the Israelis day by day, right? But apparently, this was a fulfillment of prophecy, right? Them being in the land was a fulfillment of prophecy, right? But as we're seeing more and more, I mean, we know, right? We know they ain't the real ones, right? But we're getting more and more evidence, right, that they ain't the one, right? So this is Leviticus 26. Point that I want is in 6, right? It says, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I'll give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield an increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. But these times, these guys have a what is it called, a kibbutz, right? Where basically, like, they're having to, import something. So I forget exactly what it is, right? But yeah, it says kibbutz is an intentional community in Israel that was traditionally based on agriculture, right? But basically, that land is supposed to be fruitful, right? As that's what we're reading here, right? Whenever whenever I see videos of that region, it's always like dusty looking, okay. Whereas this is supposed to be a this is supposed to be a land flowing with milk and honey, right? It says, and your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time, and ye shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in your land safely, right? What did they say in these people here, right? It's basically saying people are scared, people are worried, right? People are fearful, right? So once again, proving that this isn't a fulfillment. So it says, and I'll give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. Right, they'd be hella afraid right now. You see, when it was, as we were saying at the camp, when it was these man here, like the Palestinians and that, when it was them, right, it was cute, right? It was cute. It's these little, puny rockets, right? Can you even call them missiles? These little puny rockets, right? That were basically coming in, a couple at a time. That the what's the system they have? The Iron Dome was able to deal with, but then now you're getting big things, right, from Hezbollah, from Iran, right, coming in and hitting deep into the city. Okay, that's when basically that's Salaki. So let me read this again, man. I lost my trail of thoughts. And I'll give you peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will, yeah. So now that they're getting the big boys playing in, now that they're getting real armies coming in and attacking them, right? They're coming afraid. It's no longer cute, right? So it says, and none shall make you afraid. And I'll read evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land, right? It even says, and ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword, right? And that ain't happening to these people, right? Different reports, saying different things, but it's like, they, that's they're not going to be successful, right? And that says is in the prophecies, right? It's Jeremiah 46:27. It says, but fear not thou, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel, for behold, I will save thee from afar, right? Because Israel are ultimately the real Israelites, right? We're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and the Lord is going to gather His elect from the four corners of the earth, right? Real quick, can get into that in Isaiah the 11th chapter, right? It says, Isaiah 11:11, it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea, right? So this is basically all the different places that Israel be scattered, man, right? Because here it is when we live in a world where we see Jake getting with all of these different heathen women. We see the heathen women loving Jake, right? We see the heathen Jake may be married to the Israelite man may be married to like the Israelite woman, but then he's got like a second and third family, right? That he went somewhere, spilled some seed, and then you got some, a Jake, right, living in foreign lands. That's just what Jake, Vietnam War being an example of that. And that's what Jake just be doing. Right, so you got Israelites scattered all over the world, right? And when we're coming into these last days, the Lord is gonna, to take His elect, right, from these different four corners, right? And it's gonna be the Lord that's gonna do it, right? See, He made it seem like there was a fulfillment of prophecy, right? When these men went into our land, right? But it's not, right? And even on that, let's I forget what the precept is, but I know it's linked in here, right? It says Amos 7:17. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. The point is a little bit later. It says that thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by line, and thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall go into captivity forth of this land. Right, so the point I wanted there says, and thy land shall be divided by line. Right, and then also here, Joel 3:2 at the end, it says, I will gather all nations and bring them into the valley of Yahushua. And that's what we're seeing right now, that land there being the place where the Lord is focusing His efforts, right, to basically, as the hotbed for this Third World War. It says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, right, and parted my land. Right, and that's the point, right? These different heathens have cut up the land of Israel, chopped up the land of Israel, right, to their liking, right? But the Lord is coming back to correct that, okay? But we come back here, right? So Jeremiah 46:27. But fear not thou, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel. For behold, I will save thee from afar off, right, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, right? Which we've read that, right? Israel's been scattered because we went off, right? It says, and Jacob shall return, right? And how are we gonna return, right? We're gonna return by, by miraculous means, right? It says, 1 Thessalonians 4:16, right? It says from 16, it says, for the Lord Himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So that let me read verse 18. Wherefore comfort one another with these words, because it's a comfort. And I'll always remember this story, and I regularly retell the story of I used to go gym, which with my old neighbor, and basically like one of the kids I grew up with, and basically was chopping it up with him about the truth. Right, talked about the nukes, and then it was like, yo, so but how are you gonna make it? Basically just asking you, how are you going to be saved? If these nukes are going to fly, how are you going to be saved? Right? And then, for us, it's a comfort. You got these, because of the chariots, right? Because of the chariots of the Lord, right? They're coming to bring, add fuel to the fire, add more destruction. What will life already be kindled, right? But they're also coming to save, right? But yeah, so that's how we're going to do it, right? Not by British Airways. I'll see if there was any more precepts there, but you can take a pause and read all of these for yourselves, right? So that's how Israel is going to return, right? Not of our own volition, if that's the right word. Let me just confirm that is the right word, right? The faculty or power of using one's will, which there's no such thing as free will, but that's the point, right? Basically doing things of your own accord, if you will, right? So it says, and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Right, so no one's gonna be making us afraid in the kingdom. Right, we're gonna have all the power in the kingdom, right? And what does the scripture say? It says, Revelation, 26, 2:26 a lot, right? It says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. Okay, so basically going into that, the Lord is going to give, his men, right, and ultimately all of Israel power, right, over these different nations, man. Right, we're going to have them in subjection. Right, obviously there's going to be an order. You start with the 144,000, the elect, right? But the point is, Israel's going to have power over these nations. We're going to go back into that position of, being gods, right? This is wrong word, sorry, wrong button. Don't do that. Right. This is Psalms 60 was 82:6. Right. I've said ye are gods. Right. So we're gonna go back into this state in the kingdom. Right. So no one's gonna be making us afraid. Right. That's for sure. Right. People are gonna know, that people are gonna see the shine, and people are gonna be like, okay, yeah, don't play with them Israelites. Right. It says, and all of you are children of the Most High. Right. And that's it. And then we're gonna get as well Isaiah the second chapter, right? It says verse Isaiah 2:2, right? Just to close it out, right? It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, right, that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. There's a many. And so let's break that down, right? So in the last days, the mountain of, and which a mountain represents a government, right, of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, right? So the other governments, and shall be exalted above the hills, right? The smaller nations, right? It says, and all nations shall flow onto it. So they're going to be coming up, to the children of Israel, being like, Wagwan, right? In contrast, these Amalekites, what are they doing, right? They're basically, everyone hates them. They just keep it real. Everyone hates them. Right, so many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're talking about. In the kingdom, people are going to be coming up to us, being like, yo, hey, they're going to be seeing how decked off we are, how righteous we are, right? And then because that's what it says, he will teach us of his ways, because they're gonna remember. Look, when we lived around Esau, it was hell, right? But now that the children of Israel are empowered, things are blessed. This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Okay, people are going to be rejoicing in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, it says, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Right, so Esau's got everyone hurt. Right, you be speaking to people from different parts of the world, and the common theme is everyone's hurt, right? So it goes on to say, read it again, right? So many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. Now, of course, they ain't going to be perfect. We going to be perfect, right? Because the Lord is going to change our inward parts, right? The Lord's going to change our inward parts such that, we won't go off, right? But it says, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. Right? It says, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Going into this idea of, right now they got all of this weaponry, right? But basically, so right now they got all of this weaponry, but in the kingdom, there ain't gonna be no weapons, right? Hey, the children, we gonna be a spiritual weapon. Scripture says in Jeremiah, I shall make thee a battle axe and weapons of war. So it says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, right? So yeah, that's that's the point, man. Like, ain't gonna be no more war in the kingdom of Israel, right? Ain't no one's gonna be making us afraid in the kingdom of Israel, right? Which once again, all this is proving that these men out here, they ain't the real ones, okay? And that's our spirit, because I don't know if you caught it at the bottom there. It basically was saying Russia and Iran, trending, right? But yeah, as always, Lord's will does edify. Till next time, we say shalom.